Since early 2003, when the crisis in Darfur erupted, the level of suffering and humanitarian need has continued on an almost unimaginable scale. Around 4.5 million people are now dependent on humanitarian assistance. Oxfam approached its most dedicated supporters to find out what questions they had about Darfur. We received an overwhelming response. Here are answers to some of the questions you, our supporters, asked. Alexis of San Diego, California asks, during the past year, what has been the biggest humanitarian improvement and what has been the worst setback?
The real issue is that the situation has not improved, and the security and the threat of violence has actually increased in areas where we can go as humanitarian agencies has diminished. So less of Darfur is actually accessible to humanitarian aid than it was even last year.
When the conflict first started, there was only 3 rebel groups operating in the area. Since then, they've been splintering into dozens of groups, and it's become completely lawless. And humanitarian workers and civilians are attacked all the time by people we don't even know who they are. It's just people with guns, and it makes it nearly impossible for us to operate in some areas. We are doing all we can to hold on and maintain our operations in Darfur, but we are only just doing so.
And Amanda of Gulf Shores, Alabama wants to know, what is the socio-cultural effect of this conflict on the people of Darfur? Is there any hope left for them?
Well, the socio-economic situation has completely changed for everyone in Darfur. People who are living in the camps, the people who have been displaced outside, people who have had to flee to Chad, the people living in the cities that have lost their sources of income, the people who can't leave the towns to go farm, the kids who can't go to school. There's nobody in Darfur who has not been affected. But there are signs of hope. There's signs of hope where people at the grassroots level are starting to come together to voice their concerns about the future and putting their input into a desire for peace. We've seen communities and grassroots movements trying to join across political and ethnic lines and join to bring about peace in the country. And that's probably the most inspiring aspect and what gives us hope as international workers.
For me, what gives me hope are the millions of people across the United States that are still following this issue after 5 years and are still taking action. They're still calling the representatives and the senators up and asking them to act. They're still going around the communities, holding vigils, having movies, screenings, doing all types of things to raise awareness about the situation in Darfur. And whenever I see that, I see the energy that's still coming up from communities across the country, it really gives me hope.
Many of you asked what you could do to help make a difference. There are 3 easy things you can do today that can help support Oxfam's work in Darfur. First, sign up for email alerts and receive critical alerts on how you can help end poverty, hunger, and injustice around the world. You can also donate to Oxfam's Sudan Crisis Relief and Rehabilitation Fund. And third, host a hunger banquet. An Oxfam America hunger banquet provides opportunities to educate the public on hunger issues. And thanks again for your support for the people of Darfur.